At Harley and Ivy's house, it's been 1 day since the whole court case, and right now we see Lincoln, Luna, Lucy hanging out at their new home because the school gave them a day off. Luna took a deep breath. Now this life isn't it, right, little dudes? Luna asked. Lincoln smiled. Yeah, you said it, Luna. We defeated the people we once called family, and now we have new moms, Lincoln said. Lucy then spoke. Sigh. I just really hope that someone can get me help of that chip out of Lana's brain, Lucy said worriedly. Then Harley and Ivy came out, and Lily was in Ivy's arms. Lana will be okay, Lucy. They will get that chip out, but she has to be homeschooled until then, Harley said. Then, of course, Lincoln then said, Who adopted Lana, by the way? Lincoln asked. Ivy looked at Lincoln. I don't know. They didn't say who, but at least she'll have caring parents, Ivy said. Luna then got a text from Sam and saw what she said. Or parents, because they saw a person who wants to adopt Lana and there's one parent in the car, Luna said. Harley was surprised by that. Oh, okay. Hey, then alright kids, let's head back inside now, Harley said. Then everyone went back inside the house, but Harley wondered. I really hope whoever adopted Lana would help her, Harley thought. At the Hazeltucky foster care, we see Lana packing up her bags to meet her new mom today, as she was staying with this foster mom since her former family was interrogated because the detectives didn't trust them around her because of her problems. As Lana was packing her things, she was in tears because she had forgotten everything again and doesn't know why this keeps happening. Even she had her pets taken away, but was allowed to keep the dog Charles. Charles then walked up to Lana as she petted him and sighed. I don't know what's going on with me, Charles. I kept forgetting everything and I don't know why this keeps happening. And I'm getting scared by what's going to happen to me. Lana then started to cry. Charles then nuzzles Lana to comfort her, and the caretaker saw this and was heartbroken seeing them. Then knock on the door, and Lana looked to see that the caretaker was still in tears in her eyes. The caretaker spoke. Lana, your new mom is here, and she's ready to pick you up, the caretaker said. Lana then got up and grabbed her bag, and then she and Charles followed the caretaker down the hallways. And then when they got to the front, they see a woman with brown hair with a yellow skirt and blue jeans. Carrying a smile, she saw Lana, and Lana was surprised who it was. Bobby Felcher, Lana said in shock. Bobby Felcher walked up to Lana and kneeled down. Hello, Lana, it's nice to meet you, Bobby Felcher greeted. Lana then got nervous. But why would you want to adopt me? Lana asked. Bobby Felcher sighed. It's because I saw what happened to you on the news, and I didn't like how your old family was treating you, and you just needed a perfect parent figure, and I want to be that figure. School will be a problem, but I promise that I will help you, Bobby Felcher said. Lana then started to cry again and hugged her new mom, and Bobby Felcher hugged her back as Charles nuzzles her and Lana and Bobby. Then, of course, Lana was ready for her new life. At the Bat Cave, Batman was going through the Bat's computer and going through the intel on how to remove that chip in Lana's brain without killing her. So far, he's got nothing. Then Alfred came down. Master Bruce, you have been going through the Bat's computer for over 2 hours. Don't you think you should take a break? Alfred suggested. Batman looked at Alfred. I can't take a break, Alfred. That mad scientist of a little girl put a dangerous chip in her sister's brain, and I'm trying to figure out how to get it out without killing her, Batman said. Alfred then looked at Batman. Then perhaps that prison will try and force the little girl to talk, Alfred asked. Batman shook his head. It would take forever for that place to break her, but so I took the liberty of getting onto the computer and hacking it to learn how to get it out. But it may take a while for me to get all the data that is on it, Batman said. Alfred nodded his head. If you say so, what you do plan with the former villains of Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy? Alfred asked. Batman then answers. I'm going to keep track of them because they might have some unfinished business with some enemies like the Clown Girl and Gordon, Batman said. Alfred sighed. Alright, Master Bruce, I'm going to head back and prepare lunch, Alfred said as he went back upstairs. Batman then turned back to the Bat computer. Alright, you mad scientist, what else are you hiding? Batman says as he begins searching for the data on Lisa's computer. At the woman juvenile halls, outside the toughest woman prison of all prisoners, Down there was a familiar little girl sitting on the bench, Lisa Loud. Ever since Lisa arrived, she was the first and only little girl there, and all the prisoners have picked on her and bullied her for what she did to Lana, and trying to get her to talk, but she wouldn't. Lisa then groaned. Mindless peasants, they don't see how truly intelligent I am, but I must find a way to escape this wretched place and get my revenge on who put me here. Lisa then said as she looked down. All of a sudden, the prisoners got an idea. Perhaps one of these girls could be an assistant to me, but who? Lisa said. Then she saw a woman talking to another prisoner, of how she made that girl her new tramp. Gaze Freeman, who is a woman who is 18 years old with black hair and an eye patch as she was in prison for murdering 25 men, and she kills only men because she finds boys a virus and wants to get rid of them and all. When Lisa arrived, she was the only one who wouldn't do anything to her. Lisa then smirks evilly. It appears that she may be a help of escape. I just need to wait for the right moment, Lisa said. At the Arkham Asylum, we see the rooms that slightly says unstable. Inside was Luann Loud, who is laughing hysterically and manically in a straitjacket, and she has been doing that since she arrived and hasn't stopped. Luann then stopped laughing. Don't worry, Royal Woods, I will be back, and you will see the greatest prank of them all. You're deaf, who says the prankster. Luann then laughed, continuously manically laughing. At Harley and Ivy's home, right now we see Ivy, Lily, Lucy, and watching an episode of My Little Pony. And Lucy was nervous, and Ivy could tell by this. You okay, Lucy? Ivy asked. Lucy sighed. I'm fine, Mom. I'm just a bit nervous, Lucy said. About what? Ivy asked. Lucy then looked at her mom. I'm just scared of the people making fun of me for the way I am when I go to this church school. I don't know what to expect, Lucy said. Ivy then put an arm on Lucy. Hey, it's going to be okay. You'll be there in a few weeks, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a friendly place. There are no bullies in that school, because me and your mom have talked to all the schools and about all their new anti-building laws, so you'll do fine, and you could bring your Rainbow Dash plush toy with you to calm you down, okay? Ivy said. Lucy then smiled. Yeah, you're right. Thanks, Mom. You and Harley are better parents than mine and Lincoln's and Luna's ever was. We're so glad you're our new parents now, Lucy said. Ivy smiled and hugs Lucy. And we've glad to have such amazing kids, Ivy said. Just then, Harley, Lincoln, and Luna came down the stairs, and Harley was in her usual outfit, and Lincoln and Luna were in their clothes that Harley and Ivy got for them. Lincoln was in an orange jacket with stripes and sleeves and a white shirt underneath it with dark blue jeans. Luna was in her short-sleeved shirt with a black skull up in the middle of the purple sleeveless jacket. Ivy then sees them and breaks a hug between her and Lucy. Well, that's pretty fancy. What you all got? Ivy asked. Lincoln then answers, Me and Mom are meeting up with Jordan and her mom, Lincoln said. Harley then spoke. Yeah, me and Jesse decided to do some bonding with our kids today, and I know Lincoln is looking forward to seeing his girlfriend, Harley teased, and Luna and Lucy and Ivy laughed a little bit. Lincoln blushes in embarrassment. Mom, stop. Jordan is not my girlfriend. We're just best friends, Lincoln said. Harley ruffled Lincoln's hair. Whatever you say, kiddo. Jessie also says that she wants to talk to me about something, Harley said. Ivy then looked at Luna. And where are you heading off to, Luna? Ivy asked. Luna then looked at her mom. Sam's house. Me and my band have a gig this weekend, and we need to be prepared, Luna said. Ivy nodded. All right then. You must be careful because we have a certain people trying to get custody of Lincoln and Luna and Lucy and Lily, and a certain annoying tramp roaming around town, Ivy said. At St. Olivia's church school, right now we see the detectives, Sandy and Danny, looking around the church and taking the priest of the church, who is a 47-year-old man with bald and with a comb-over glasses and a mustache. The priest then spoke. So as you can see, we can handle my church in a very peaceful and help with all sorts of problems, the priest said. Detective Sandy looked at the priest. I must say that this place is interesting, but this church will help with the problems with the girl we've told you about, Detective Sandy asked. The priest then looked at the detectives. Why, of course, I will do all I can to help the child and of her dark ways if her parents failed her to give it so she could start in 2 weeks, the priest said. Detective Sandy smiles. That's great news, and we'll tell the parents tomorrow. Thank you. Detective Danny said, trying to remember his name. Alfred M. Goodman, Alfred reminded them, then shook the detective's hands. God bless you both for helping those kids and the ones who saved them, Alfred said. Detective Sandy then looked at this time. Well, we should be getting going now. Thanks again, Father, Detective Sandy said as she and Detective Danny walked out of church. Father Goodman then took a picture of Lucy, and the detectives gave him. What evil former plans did her parents do to her? Alfred said as he walked back in the church. At San Francisco's woman prison, we see Rita Loud laying on her bed when she arrived. A bunch of prisoners didn't like her for what she did to her kids, but some of them were mothers, and did Rita care? No, not at all. She cares about what's getting out of here. Rita then growled. That white-skinned tramp will pay for putting me in this hellhole. I swear, when I get out of here, she's going to die along with those other freaks she calls family, Rita said as she threw a knife at the picture of Harley's head. Of course, it was just a picture. Rita then patted her belly. Don't worry, sweetie. I'm not letting anyone taking you away from me. They'll try and then they'll die too. That's a fact, Rita said evilly and then laid back down. At Bay City Juvenile Halls, Lynn Jr. was in her cell room throwing a ball at one of the wall and catching it. She has no cellmates because the warden was afraid what she might do to them, and ever since she arrived, she's been bullied and pushed around to the strongest girl there and made Lynn her tramp, and literally her tramp, and Lynn did not like that at all. Lynn then got angry. This is all your fault, Stinkton. Because of you, I can't play sports anymore, and I became fresh meat here and became someone's tramp. When I get out of here, you're dead, Lynn said as she tries to find some way to escape. Somewhere else, we see Selena Williams reading a newspaper about two girls saving some kids from mistreating family, and became their moms, and Selena was not happy. Selena then threw away her paper. This is ridiculous. Gay people should not be raising kids here. It has to be a way to ban this LGBTQ community, Selena said. Then she meets Mayor Davis talking on TV and had an idea. Wait a minute, that's it. I'm going to run for the mayor and I'll ban this monstrosity for good, Selena said. Then she walked to a picture of the president. Don't worry, President. I promise I'll make America great again, like what you promise, Selena said. Then she starts putting her plan into action. At the Royal Woods movie theater, Harley, Lincoln, Jordan, and Jesse walked out of the theater after seeing the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, and they actually were talking about it as they walked out. Lincoln then spoke. Wow, this is actually a pretty good SpongeBob movie. I thought it was going to be bad, Lincoln said. Harley nodded. Yeah, you got that right, kiddo. There were some flaws in the film, like Snoop Dogg only appeared in the film for like 2 minutes, Harley said. Jordan then sighed. Yeah, that's a bummer. They also brought back Matt Perry, who played the Magic Dolphin in the second SpongeBob movie, and have him play the villain Lynn of the film. Are you that cheap to not cast a different actor to play him? If you ask me, it sounds like a Pixar's John Razabenger thing, Jordan said. Jesse then spoke. And the plot of the film is kind of like SpongeBob episode where Gary runs away and turns into a movie, Jesse said. Lincoln then looked at everyone. Well, besides those flaws, it was pretty good movie, Lincoln said. Everyone nodded in agreement. Then Jordan walks up to Lincoln. Hey, Lincoln, do you think maybe someday we can hang out, like just the two of us? Jordan asked nervously. Lincoln then blushed at that. You mean like a date? Lincoln asked. Jordan blushes when he said that. No, like I mean as friends, friends. Jordan laughed nervously. Lincoln smiled. Yeah, sure, we could do that, Lincoln said. Harley and Jesse smiled as their kids got nervousness. Alright, that's enough flirting. We need to get home, Lincoln, Harley said. Lincoln, of course, then smiled and looked at Jordan. I'll see you tomorrow at school, Jordan, Lincoln said. Jordan smiled. I'll see you tomorrow, Lincoln, Jordan said. Then Harley and Lincoln walked back to their car and drove all the way. Then Jordan looked at her mom. Mom, don't you think we should have told them about what we've planned? Jordan asked. Jesse smiled. Oh, don't worry, Jordan. We'll tell them when the time is right. For now, let's head back home, Jesse said, as he and Jordan went back to their home. Later at night, Harley was in her night outfit and she checked on Lincoln and Luna in their room. She sees them sound asleep and does the same thing to Lucy, and she was asleep, still hugging the Rainbow Dash plush toy that she tucked her in and then went back to her room and sees Harley reading a book in their bed. Harley then laid on her and Ivy's bed. "The kids are asleep and they look like they had fun today," Harley said. Ivy smiled and then put the book away. "Well, that's good. It looks like our lives have finally changed, Charles," Ivy said. Harley nodded. "Yeah, and for the better, too. I can't wait to see what kind of adventures we're gonna have," Harley said. Then she turned off the lamp on her side. "Good night, Ives," Harley said. "Good night, Harles," Ivy said as she went back to bed, ready for whatever loud chaos they were going to face. And that, my little pretties, was Harley Quinn Loud Luck. A Harley Quinn, a Batman Loud House crossover fanfiction. Written by Shane Hilden. My final thoughts on the story? I gotta admit, this story was not a bad story. I have to say, this story was actually not a bad story. I actually found this fanfiction to be enjoyable. It was a very enjoyable story. I really find this one to be a lot of fun to narrate. Now, I remember when I first saw this story, I do have good things to say about it, but I have some things that I would have to say that I didn't like about it. There's not really major things about it. Well, there kind of is, but I'm going to go through the positives of the story. For one, I do like the fact that, it's a Batman and Loud House crossover, which I have to say that I remember watching Batman as a kid, but to be honest, I didn't really watch him a whole lot for some reason. I think I wasn't really that interested at the time. Maybe I was, but I don't know. I watched weird things as a kid. But I do like how the concept of this story went out. It's a really amazing story. Like, sitting there, seeing, Batman, becoming, I guess, the Batman crossover. Like, seeing Harley Quinn and Ivy, becoming, the good guys in this story. Which I really do find that to be a pretty good concept. I think there might be some, I could definitely say, I think there was some, I think you could definitely say, I believe they're good guys as well. I don't really know. I'm not really sure what universe this takes place, but I do remember being the universe, in the timeline where Harley and Ivy got together. So I definitely would have to say that I really do like how the concept went. It's pretty good so far for what this story is. I really do like how the concept of the story was going for. Like, it feels like a good Batman, Loud House story. It feels really good because of the whole concept it went out. It's pretty good, to be honest. And when I saw this story, I honestly decided to have a look at it because I thought it was not going to be good, but it turns out that it's actually a pretty good story. Now, I definitely have to say, there were some things that I wasn't really crazy on that I think I would need to express. Now, the good thing I do like about it is, this is based on, the after the events of No Such Luck. Now, that episode, No Such Luck, is a garbage episode of The Loud House, which I'm pretty sure most of us can all agree that if you've seen The Loud House, that episode No Such Luck is completely dog crap. But, yet again, I'm going to say if people like that episode, that's fine, that's their opinion. But I definitely have to say that, it's a part 2 episode or a sequel to Loud House No Such Luck. But I really have to say that I really do find this one has a pretty good concept. Like, I really do like, that Harley Quinn and Ivy were in this one, which I'm definitely have to say, I really do like how this story had a good concept for what this is. Now, when I saw this episode, I was kind of debating on this story. I was kind of debating on if I should narrate it or not, but now that I actually have the opportunity to narrate it, I'm narrating it right now because, you should probably already seen it. I just narrated the last chapter. I really do find this one to be a pretty good concept. I like the concept of the story and the plot line. It's a pretty good plot line for what this is about. I do wish that, and another thing I do have to say is that I just love how this is all played out. Like, if I do remember, Lincoln's family treating him, like garbage in No Such Luck. So if you've seen No Such Luck, you should probably already know that, Lincoln's family, treated him like garbage in that episode, which, oh god, that episode just, the way Lincoln's parents are in this, whole concept, like the fact that, that Harley Quinn and, Ivy become good guys, which I find that to be pretty interesting. I'm really glad that, they were former villains. I've seen, some, superhero, TV shows that involve, villains becoming the good guys. Like, for example, Teen Titans had one episode where Jinx was villain, but becomes the good guy. So, yeah, if you've seen Teen Titans, you probably remember that part. But I definitely would have to say that I do like, the fact that, the parents of Lincoln got what they deserve, and same with the kids for treating Lincoln poorly, especially in, well, you could definitely say in No Such Luck. But I definitely would have to say that, if this was to be aired for a real episode of Loud House, chances are this episode possibly might get banned. I don't know if it will, but I think it might be quite possible. But other than that, this is actually not a bad story. It's not a terrible one, but definitely a pretty decent one at that. Now, if I have to say a few things I didn't really care for the story, that would have to be the grammar. Like, the grammar was good, was like okay for most of the parts, but there was some parts of the story that the grammar was kind of hard to read. Like, either there were certain words that could have been capitalized. Like, I mean, there was some spelling mistakes in the story, and there was even a couple grammatical errors in the story. So I probably should knock that down a point because of that. Like, I mean, if you put this through Google Docs, it should be easier to read. So I'm just saying that. Like, if you put it through Google Docs, the story should be easier to read. Another thing I would have to say, it's not a major issue, but I thought I would point this out, was that, well, it's kind of a major issue. And, it's not a good thing if you don't, do this, but there was the punctuation marks, which is kind of, a mess up. Like, it's, like, this is the problem when it comes to this story, was that, there was, the sentence structure needs a lot of work. Like, I mean, there were parts of the story that have, run-on sentences, such as, there's, like, places where commas should be, and there's places in periods, or they were not there, or they were just all over the place, made the story hard to read. So that was actually one of the reasons why I kind of want to knock down that story a point, is because of that. But I would definitely have to say that, if you put this story through Google Docs, chances are Google Docs can really fix the issues of the story, and it will most likely help make it better. Now, I mean, that I can understand, one thing if this is like the person's first story or something, but I would suggest them, put it through Google Docs to fix the punctuation errors and the grammatical errors, and then the story would be, get a higher rating. Now, overall, I'm gonna say right now, the paragraph structuring was good, although it does need a little bit of work. So this story just needs a little bit of polishing up, so I definitely would have to say that. So, anyways, I guess with that being the case, and with that being said, I'm going to sit there and kind of wrap up the review, because there's not really much to say about it. Now, I'm going to sit there and say this right now, and like I always continue to say, that this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of the story would have to be I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 because the grammar was good. Like, the grammar was, decent, but it needs some polishing up, and same thing could be said with the sentence structuring. And, but other than that, the story was not a bad one. It's a good story, not a bad one at that, so I'm giving it that. Anyways, that's why it's getting a 6 out of 10. Not a terrible story, it's a pretty good one, but it needs some work. Anyways, with that being the case, with that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta, or fanfiction, whatever you prefer to call it? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, and you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.